You're listening to the Screeners Podcast Network.
From the big screen to the small screen and everything in between, this is the Screeners Podcast, where all media is appreciated, but none is safe.
Hey everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Screeners Podcast. It is Sunday night, March 4th. The Oscars just ended, and we are here to talk about it. I'm Daniel.
This is Chad.
And we can't wait to dive in. We're also joined, as we have been many times before, my brother and the co-host of the Next Trek podcast, Tyler Howitt. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. I'm really excited to get down and get into this.
Yes. So for Tyler and I, we're on the West Coast. It's only 9:19 here.
Oh yeah, we're happy and
yes.
fully
yeah,
awake.
you guys are living that West Coast life, and I am living that. Man, it's almost 12:30, and I'm tired.
It's Monday. It's Monday for Chad.
It is indeed.
All right. Well, so we're not going to dive in too specifically here. We're going to just talk about our general overview of the show. We're going to get into a full breakdown of the show on our next full episode of the Screeners, which will come out soon. For now, we're just going to kind of talk in generalities, things that stuck out in the show, and mainly with the awards themselves. So let's start. We're going to start small. Let's start with the tech categories. Did anything stand out to you guys that you wanted to bring up in the tech categories?
Well, my big thing was, I would have done way better if I had maybe gone with the reality rather than my heart. That was the category I went with, my heart, and that my heart is with Baby Driver.
Yes.
And you know what? I think even, and this is, I know, getting ahead of ourselves, if I had gone with my heart in the acting and picture categories, if the Academy had acknowledged that my heart existed in the other categories, then we would have, I would have voted way differently. But for tech, man, I went with Baby Driver all day long. Did you
went 3 for 3 with Baby Driver's nominations?
I think I did. I'm double checking really quick. I did editing, sound editing, sound mixing, all for Baby Driver. And although I had originally, circled, I have old school paper here in front of me right now, and I had originally circled Dunkirk for 2 of those 3, and then I was like, no, the Academy will recognize the greatness that is Baby Driver, and then they didn't.
Yeah, I went 2 for 3 with Baby Driver. I predicted it in sound mixing and film editing. So I knew the smart money was on Dunkirk, but I don't know. I was feeling it, but Chad got all 3 of those right.
Did you?
Yeah, I went the Dunkirk trifecta, and I think it deserved it. But if it makes you feel any better, Tyler, I will freely admit that your heart does exist, and I recognize it.
Thank you. If only the Academy would go there.
Chad, anything standing out to you from the text?
I mean, not really. I was a little nervous before those because to be honest with you, I could see Baby Driver winning those just because, especially editing, because of the work that they did to synchronize the music to the cuts, to the sound effects. It really is. But I think that's kind of a slippery slope when you get into when you're trying to predict these things. If you let yourself play the game of what should win versus what will win,
they never match up.
They never match up. And I think we saw that with some of the bigger categories, specifically picture, which we'll get into later. But in my heart, it just lined up for me because I really think Dunkirk was deserving of those 3.
Oh,
but
no doubt.
A case for Baby Driver can easily be made. Yeah. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and Baby Driver was solid. I mean, we don't know how the voting turned out, but I think it's safe to say that Baby Driver was solidly number 2 in all of those categories. So it's not it's not like they were long shots there, but definitely a bummer to see it go 0 for 3. I thought it could pull a Bourne Ultimatum and get all 3 of those, but alas. Well, you guys didn't mention the big award for the tech categories. Roger Deakins finally wins Best Cinematographer. I mean, he is the best cinematographer working today. I think that's clear. And finally, he got his award.
This is 14 nominations and 1 award. Is that correct?
Yes, he was nominated. He lost 13 times. Yeah. So, which was tied for the record in cinematography, and finally he took it home.
He did, and that award was the most nervous that I was on.
Same.
Had he not won, I would legitimately be upset. But because Blade Runner is such a seminal work. I mean, I still think he could have won multiple times. One of the great crimes in history, I think, is the fact that he didn't win for the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Right.
That's one of the best-looking movies ever shot.
Absolutely.
So the fact that he finally get this is just a sigh of relief for me.
I'm so glad, because sometimes you see with these overdue performers, they will sometimes win for a lesser work just because they're due. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, I think a case could be made for that, even though he's good in The Revenant. That was more of a legacy award, and this one was totally deserved, because Blade Runner was amazing. Some of the best cinematography I've ever seen.
Yeah, and so Daniel, can I say something, and you'll probably get mad at me, but I also think that a case could be made that the Legacy Award was also given to Scorsese for The Departed. Now, don't hate me. I know you love that movie.
I do love the movie. I think that's true, though. Yeah, I agree. I think even though I do think he deserved it, it was certainly, he won because he hadn't won yet, no doubt. I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
So unless there's anything else you guys wanted to talk about in the text, nothing else really surprising there. They kind of mostly went as expected. And then what about the other feature awards like documentary, animation, and the shorts and foreign language? Anything? The shorts are just a freaking ballot killer, man.
They are. I'm shocked that Faces Places didn't win.
Same.
I thought that it was the perfect storm of the fact that Agnes, oh my goodness, her last name's escaping me.
Varda.
Varda, who's like 89 years old. She got an honorary Oscar this year, and the fact that I think Faces Places is the best documentary legitimately this year. I was shocked that she didn't win. Now, I understand why Icarus won. I know a lot of people really love it, and it's on Netflix, so it's more widely available, and it's got a lot of marketing behind it. But, wow, I was really surprised by that one.
Yeah, I did pretty bad with the documentary category this year. I had only seen Icarus. That's the only one I've seen, and so I can't comment on the quality. But, man, Icarus is powerful. I think it's totally deserved, again, not having seen the other nominees, of course, but I think that's a powerful film and incredibly timely. But I agree with you. It's a shock that Varda didn't win. My friend in LA said that Icarus billboards were every freaking where. So, maybe it's just
they were really pushing for it.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what just blew me away this year, and I think this marks I think we've used the word already, a seminal moment, a turning point in history, is Kobe Bryant is now an Oscar winner.
That's crazy. Only first ever NBA player to win an Oscar.
It makes me sad for the world.
Well, here's the thing. Have you guys watched Dear Basketball?
No,
I haven't seen it yet.
But I've seen Kobe Bryant.
Look, Dear Basketball is very moving. Say what you want and say what may be deserved about Kobe Bryant, but that was a really great short. So, it was deserved in my opinion, but definitely a strange year for him to win in all the Me Too stuff, but
Yeah. Before we move on, can I give an unpopular opinion about Icarus?
Say it.
So, I like Icarus a lot. I really do. My problem, quote unquote, with Icarus is that I think that it's what you said, Daniel. It's certainly timely. There's no doubt. But I think from just a filmmaking standpoint, I was unable to fully embrace it, because I think what makes Icarus great, without spoiling it, so if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it, is what happens within the story. And it was just a chance thing that happened. Now, the story is unbelievably compelling and worthy, but everything about the documentary as it is put together from a craft standpoint is a step down for me, and it just feels not as put together, almost as if it were happenstance that they stumbled onto this thing.
Well,
and then it's just a story. And I get it. And I'm not all about every documentary has to look like The Imposter or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. It just, for whatever reason, didn't land for me as much, because it just felt really loose from top to bottom.
So I disagree that it didn't feel loose to me, but even if I did feel the same way, I think that typifies what a documentary should be. It's following the insanity of real life, and that is no more typified in any other movie than Icarus. Just he he stumbled upon an international conspiracy that just is far-reaching and literally changed parts of the world as it relates to this topic. So, I mean, it's insane.
And I think it's an insane story that's worthy of news reporting and journalism. But as a film, I think it's just not, for me, it's a lesser work than some of the others in the category. And it's just sensationalized because it was such a crazy breaking thing. I get it. Sure. I'm not hating on it because I really did like it.
Yeah. And again, I haven't seen the other nominees, so I can't comment on how good or bad it is compared to them. Sure. All right, but let's not get in the weeds on documentary. We had Coco, which the shock win of the night right there, taking Best Animated Feature. But no, that was great. That was definitely well-deserved in a very weak year for animation.
No doubt.
So, original song. How did you guys get that one right?
I did.
Well, great
Daniel,
for you guys.
you wrote an article about that, right?
And the title of the article was, Suck It Up. This Is Me is winning Best Original Song. So that didn't age very well.
I know as soon as you saw the live performance of This Is Me, you felt really good about yourself, didn't you?
I did, man.
That was, I know you
shocked.
don't want to get into the program itself, but that was the best performance of the night. That was so good.
Well, that's debatable, but it definitely was the most well received in the room, I felt. I really am still shocked that Remember Me won. I think Remember Me is perfectly fine, and I think Coco is a great movie, but that's the opposite of memorable. I don't understand how it won. It's shocking to me.
Well, and typified by the performance by, and I'm forgetting his name, Gael
Garcia Bernal.
Yes, thank you. Gosh, that was the weakest moment of the night.
That was very weak.
Yeah. I actually agree with you. I think what's happened here is that the way that the song is used in the film is so poignant, and so powerful at that, and I mean specifically at the ending of Coco, that people give it extra credit, because I agree with you, Daniel. I don't think when you stack it up against the others that it is as memorable or that the lyric hook is as good. Although I like it better than you do. I think Tyler loves it, and I think you're kind of negative on it, and I'm probably right in the middle. But I agree that I don't think it'll have a lot of legs.
I think you're right. I think it's definitely used poignantly in the movie. Like I said, Coco's a great film. I'm not hating on the film at all. But I think the main reason it won is that more people saw Coco than The Greatest Showman. I think The Greatest Showman, in terms of voting, and this is a guess, because obviously The Greatest Showman did great box office, but I think in terms of voting, the voting body, I think Coco was up for animated feature. I think more people probably watched that than The Greatest Showman, which didn't even get good reviews,
Well, and although This Is Me is everywhere, it's true. I mean, it is all over the place.
That's why I thought it was going to win.
Yeah.
But then Mystery of Love is just such easily the best song there, which I knew.
I do agree.
It was never going to win, but that performance, it was beautiful. So beautiful. Love that song. All right, and then the Screenplay Awards, y'all. So Call Me By Your Name won. That was very much expected. James Ivory is now the oldest ever Oscar winner in any category, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and a great speech, too.
Yeah, he did great. But then, guys, Jordan seriously. Peele winning original screenplay for Get Out. I mean, amazing. Just so good. Amazing. That is such a fantastic win. I'm so happy that he won. Who would have thought a year ago today, the movie had been out for, I believe, a week or a week and a half. Who would have thought that this would win a Best Original Screenplay? I mean, that's remarkable.
It really is. Yeah, and I picked that one as well, and I think in our last show I talked about that when we were talking about who we thought may win director, and I stand by my statement that as much as I love Get Out, and I do absolutely love it, it's probably my number 11 of the year. It's the writing that I think is the real star of that film. Now there are some great performances, great direction. I'm not trying to belittle that, but that script is it's crazy. Lit, man. It's totally on point.
Yep, and we're not getting the picture yet, but we did have a big debate on the last podcast. I said that if Three Billboards lost original screenplay, it was losing Best Picture, and that was correct.
Yes, you want a cookie? I mean, what
I do want a cookie. I'm waiting. I was waiting for the silence.
See, I don't think yes, but I truly don't think that one leads to the other. And now you do. I know. No. they both happened, but I don't think that there's causation involved.
Yes, there was, and here's why. Because Three Billboards had major problems when it comes to the preferential ballot, because it had the most backlash going against it. It's a very beloved film, as evidenced by its 2 acting awards and 7 nominations, but it had to overcome anybody's problems on the preferential ballot. And if it didn't have enough votes to win original screenplay, it didn't have enough votes to overcome those problems on the troublesome preferential ballot. And so that's why.
I agree. You're not wrong. It's just it's the desperate and truly for me unbelievable love for The Shape of Water that did it, that is overcoming things, because I can't. I mean, it's a well-made movie. All that. I know we'll get into this in just a bit, but Three Billboards is easily the better movie.
I agree. We're all on the same page there.
And I have a harder time. I mean, you're probably right, Daniel, and you really pay a lot of attention to these kinds of things. But for me, I thought that the fact that McDonough was not nominated for director would also be why they wouldn't award him with the screenplay win, while still awarding the film based on what we saw that came before it. That's why I didn't think there was causation, to get to Tyler's point, in this particular year. But maybe you're right. But that's what kind of what I thought too. It is like they were going to push back against McDonough, but still reward the film. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's a fair argument. I tweeted on Oscar morning when they didn't announce McDonough's name for director. I said The Shape of Water just won Best Picture. So yeah, I definitely think that it's kind of inexplicable. As beloved as the movie is, I know it's got a lot of backlash online, but it really was relegated to mostly online. And so it is surprising that it missed director. It's surprising that it didn't end up taking picture. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's go to the acting categories before we talk any more about Best Picture. Supporting actor, first award of the night went to Sam Rockwell for Three Billboards, as expected. So deserved.
Yep, totally deserved.
But painful for all three of us, because he beat all of the Florida Project's nominations.
I know.
All one.
Yes. What a freaking bummer.
Like, that could have been, as much as I loved Sam Rockwell, that could have been the bone that that they threw to Florida Project. It's because it's easily the best movie of the year.
It is easily the best movie of the year. The problem is, though, and I would have felt almost the opposite of that. As much as I love Dafoe's performance, it would have felt patronizing, because in my heart, I think Rockwell gave the best performance of the year. I really do.
Yes. I agree. Would have loved to see Dafoe take it only for the Florida Project, not because it's a better performance.
I agree.
And then,
although it's easily the second of those that.
I agree.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that as well. And there were no other surprises in any other acting categories. For some strange reason, as crazy as this year was, that the acting categories were all the major awards, like we talked about on our pre-show. Every single major precursor went to the same 4 people in all categories. So that was pretty crazy. Yep. So supporting actress was Allison Janney, C.J. Craig from I, Tonya.
Except I went for Laurie Metcalf.
Well, that was foolish.
I know.
That was your heart. That was your heart leading the way.
Would that have pulled me ahead? Would I have beaten you with that?
Did we tie?
What did you get, 17?
Yeah.
I did too.
How did we tie? I'm confused.
I just did a count before we sat down too.
Did you predict Shape of Water for Best Picture?
I did.
Oh, that's okay. Then that's why we pulled ahead.
Because you went for Get Out, right?
I went for Get Out. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you pulled ahead. I'm embarrassed now.
Because you sound like you were like 4 ahead of me for a while there.
I'm just gonna stand in the corner and watch this. I love it.
There was one point in the night where I was literally like 4 or 5 ahead of Tyler, and then we tied in the end. So I'm embarrassed, but that's. All right.
I can't believe I didn't win by 1. At least we tied, I guess. Dang.
But no. So yeah, my heart was with Laurie Metcalf as well. I do as much as I love Allison Janney, and as much as her performance was fantastic, I do think Laurie Metcalf had the better performance of the year.
Right. In a great category. All 5 of those actresses just knocked it out of the park.
You just can't do it. You just can't do it. You can't go with your heart. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. You just gotta read the tea leaves as best you can.
Yep.
See, but isn't that the message that we got tonight? Was follow your heart, follow your dreams, and I'm just gonna continue doing that for these selections.
You do, because you know what, Tyler, your heart exists, and I recognize it. I see you.
Okay, so actor in the leading role went to Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, which I know both of you are huge fans of.
Oh, 4 times in the theater.
You saw that 4 times?
4 times. Yep.
So you're the one.
I know. I took 2 classes, I took 2 classes to go see it.
Okay, well that makes sense.
I teach a speech class, and then I saw it like with a bunch of friends, like 2 different sets of friends twice. So it was crazy.
Okay, well that's a little bit better. I was picturing you going to the theater.
It wasn't just me by myself. Like, Gary Oldman, I love you.
I'm a fan of the performance. I'm not a huge fan of the movie, and I think you just have your hater pants on, Daniel. Honestly,
I'm okay with that description. Look, I think Gary Oldman was great. I think he did a good performance. Chad, you called me out for calling it average. I think that's a fair call out. It's not an average performance, but I think it's easily
the movie might be.
I think it's easily the 4th best performance nominated. I think easily Timothée Chalamet, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Daniel Kaluuya are better than Gary Oldman in this category. Not even a question for me. I tweeted that. Well, yeah, Denzel's just happy to be there. But I tweeted, I don't think history will look kindly on this win. I think we will look back and this will be like really? He won every award that year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Disagree with you.
Because it is certainly an Oscar performance for sure.
But that's what I mean.
And I think they're giving credit to the transformation, not just physical, but everything that he did, to reward quote unquote acting. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. It's pretty remarkable.
Honestly, he pulled a Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, he went all out for that role. And I loved. The only movie I didn't see in this whole thing really is Call Me by Your Name, because it didn't come to my town. But Daniel Day-Lewis, Daniel Kaluuya, both excellent. But Gary Oldman, I think it was a performance that completely changed every single aspect of that man, and he just knocked it out of the park. He did such a good job.
Well, I am glad that you guys are happy with it. I am not, but I'm not super upset about it. I think it's perfectly fine, and obviously it was super expected. But yeah. Anyway, all right, we'll move on to actress. Went to Frances McDormand, 3 awards outside Ebbing, Missouri. Man, her speech is an all-timer. I mean,
right?
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Oh, that was so good. It was, and was it? Didn't Jimmy Kimmel say you should win an Emmy just for that speech?
Yeah,
I did.
Man, that was powerful. Having everybody, all the nominated women stand up. I just loved she stopped everything and said, "I've got some things to say."
Yes,
that was amazing.
So good.
Oh man, and so it it goes along with her performance so well. I mean that's who she played in the movie basically. So
no doubt,
I think that was a fantastic speech, fantastic win. Even though I think I might have preferred Sally Hawkins' performance overall, I'm totally fine with Frances McDormand winning. I think that's great.
Yeah. I actually agree with you there. I am 100% on board with her winning, but I think Sally Hawkins may have been just a little better. And the more that I have seen online of The Shape of Water, her performance in particular, the more I'm convinced that it's probably the best performance, even though I don't like that movie very much.
Yeah.
She had an amazing performance. Sally Hawkins did a great job. If we're choosing somebody other than Frances McDormand, it's Saoirse Ronan for me.
And I would have no problems with that. Obviously, I love Lady Bird, but no doubt about it. She's great. And then we are on to the top 2 categories, director and picture, both of which went to The Shape of Water, and I think all 3 of us kind of feel the same way. Am I right?
Yeah. I'm on record as wanting Nolan to win director, but acquiescing to the idea that it's going to be Del Toro, and it was.
And I'm for any of the other 4 winning over Guillermo del Toro for that. And I love Guillermo del Toro. This is one that I think is... I can get behind it almost as the honorary, not the honorary, but the legacy Oscar, which I know is what they didn't do, but that's how I'm going to have to rationalize it in my head.
Yeah, I think... I don't know. I'm a little torn because I'm totally with you guys. I think Shape of Water is not great, not bad, just not great. But for some reason, Best Director feels more okay to me, even though I preferred many of the other films. He's a very director's director. Like, it's very filmic and beautiful. Yes. Those are the best parts of the movie, was that it was beautiful and well shot.
And anytime he opens his mouth, it's like going to film school.
Yes.
And you can literally feel the exuberance he has for filmmaking.
Exactly.
So I actually do think the Academy wanted to recognize him.
Yes.
And because that's the only way that I can rationalize how, number one, that The Shape of Water won picture, even though we're not talking about that yet. And then number two, that it's been clear that he was the front runner from day one. I just can't think of any other reason why. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, I mean, he's the most lovable, if that's the right word, of the nominees. Like, he's been out there. He's, like you said, it's like going to film school. He's such a filmmaker's director. So yeah, I think that's why he won. So I'm more okay with the director side of things, even though I did prefer the other films. But then picture, it did end up taking picture. I had Get Out, even though the statistics favored Shape of Water. I went with my heart, and that was wrong.
Yeah, and this was one I went with my heart as well, and I it burned me. It burned me again because I had 3 billboards till the end. I know you were right. You're right.
But yeah, so Shape of Water, I think that will go down for me as one of my least favorite Best Picture winners in a very long time. Maybe I'm trying to think if I like The Artist better or worse than Shape of Water. I'm not sure at the moment.
I like the art. Actually, you know what? I would
have
said I liked it better, but
that's a good question.
They're close. Ooh. So yeah,
I think my initial reaction to The Artist was positive.
Same.
I didn't.
That's true.
I didn't think it was deserving of what it won, but I left the theater feeling good. Like, wow, I really enjoyed that, and I left Shape of Water flummoxed.
Yeah.
What was The Artist against?
So, yeah, The Artist was up against The Descendants, Hugo, Midnight in Paris, Tree of Life, Moneyball, Warhorse, The Help, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. So it was kind of a rough year. I mean, there are some good movies in there, but none of them feel like Best Picture.
Well, there's at least 4 that you named that are better than that.
Oh,
there
yeah.
Sure.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And Tree of Life, I know I'm in the minority and I don't care. Tree of Life is in my top 3 of all time, man.
That is
I
in
think
my
it's
bottom
a
3 of all
masterpiece.
time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we need to have a podcast about that. Now, that would be exciting.
Okay, so while we're on the subject, The Help, since it's been released, 4 of the actresses in that film have gone on to win Academy Awards now after Allison Janney. We have Octavia Spencer, Viola Davis, Emma Stone, and Allison Janney. And then Jessica Chastain, you know hers is coming someday soon. So
yeah, no doubt.
What a movie to launch careers.
Seriously.
Yeah, no,
further careers, I guess I should say.
I think ultimately the takeaway for me is just that every 4 or 5 years or so, you get that picture that for whatever reason the Academy recognizes, but it just is not going to stand the test of time. And it's always the Crash example and things like that. But
this isn't as bad as that.
It's not. But this is the first movie that I can remember in a long time where I was just completely convinced that it's just not that good, and I feel like the emperor has no clothes on. I don't understand it.
Yeah. And I do think it won because of the preferential ballot. I think had this been a straight up and down vote, I think 3 billboards would have had it easily. But it just couldn't cross the 50% threshold, and then the preferential ballot rejiggered the votes, and Shape of Water I think was more widely loved, even if it wasn't as passionately loved. The passion counts for nothing on a preferential ballot. It's all about what has the most votes. So I really thought Get Out, honestly, after the original screenplay win, I was riding high. I really thought Get Out had a good shot. I felt good about it, but it didn't come out on top. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was a great show. I think.
Hey, Daniel, before we wrap up, I had made a pact with myself that I wasn't going to let you off of this podcast because one of the traditions that you have every year is that on Facebook before the Oscars you release your top 10 of the year.
Yes.
And so you did that again today, and I didn't want to let you off the podcast until you admitted that Lady Bird should be number 2 and the Florida Project should be number 1, where everybody could hear it. Now's your chance. Now's your chance to come clean, Daniel. Come on.
I'm not there yet.
You feel the tug in your heart, right?
I'm not there yet. I love Florida Project. I think it's an amazing, long-lasting film, but I'm more passionate about Lady Bird. It has a special place in my heart. But you know what I'm going to do?
I'm not going to give up this fight.
No, you know what I'm going to do for you? You know what I'm going to do for you, Chad? Up until this moment, I've only given out one 10 out of 10 for a 2017 film, and that was for Lady Bird. I am right here on this podcast going to move up my ranking of the Florida Project to a 10 out of 10 from a 9 out of 10.
All right. That makes me feel almost as good.
Just
Thank
for
you, Daniel.
you.
That's a good move.
Just for you. All right. So, everybody, it was a great show. Thank you so much for sticking with us all throughout Oscar season. Guys, tomorrow starts next year's Oscar season. So, I can't wait to be counting down the days.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So do we think up to this point, I know that I don't want to take us off on a rabbit trail because the show's wrapping up, but do we feel like we've seen very much like Get Out? Has anything come out in 2018 that we think we may see?
Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow.
No, a lot of people want Black Panther to be this year's Get Out, but there's just no way. I mean, it could make it. It could make it into costume design. I think it has a good shot at a couple tech awards, but there's absolutely no way that it makes picture or anything like that. And we can save this recording and let's see if I'm wrong. All right, well, guys, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for our next full episode that'll be coming out later on this week, where we digest the rest of the Oscars, the show. We didn't talk about Jimmy Kimmel or any of the monologue or anything like that, so we're definitely going to dive into that, as well as, importantly, we're going to reveal the winners of our Oscar contest. We had, I believe, 43 entries, and if any of them beat the screeners, they are going to win a copy of their favorite nominee from this year. So we are excited to break those down and see who had the best and worst scores of our contest. So make sure you stick with us there. As always, we are so thankful you're here. Follow us on social media at ScreenersCast on Twitter, and on Facebook, search The Screeners Podcast. Chad and Tyler, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel.
Thanks a lot.
And you can catch up with Tyler on the Next Trek podcast. He and Chris are doing some awesome things over there. And you can follow Tyler on Twitter at Tyler Howitt. All right, we will see you all next time.
And that's a wrap. You've heard what the screeners had to say. Now you be the critic. Head over to screenerspodcast.com and let us know what you think. See you next time.